guys, I'm Vlad, I'm CTO of Russian Development Center, and today I will briefly describe you what exactly the tvOS is. So it will be kind of tvOS overview. Oops. So tvOS provides a new level for entertainment. So users can play games, they can run some productivity applications, they can run social applications, watch movies, and enjoy some shared experience with using Apple TV. And the main advantage for us here is that we have tvOS SDK and we can build some applications for our customers. And the main advantage here is that, as I think, is that tvOS and iOS works together. From technical point of view, it means that we have one bundle ID within the iTunes Connect, and the same application can be built for iOS and tvOS, and as well it can use the same, for example, same in-app product. So if some user purchases some application for iOS and if it supports tvOS, it means that he purchased it as well for tvOS. Same for the in-app purchases. So what do we have here about hardware? We have here a 64-bit A8 processor. Depends on the model. We have 32 GB or 64 GB, 2 GB of RAM. We have, of course, internet connection here, HDMI, Apple TV remote, and we have fixed full HD resolution. So independently of exact TV, Apple TV always provides output as the full HD. So as a main control for the Apple TV, for the tvOS, we have a remote, Apple remote. It has the following main items here. So the touch interface that can be used that is used mostly for the navigation and tabs. We have a menu button. It's the same as a home button for iPhones and iPads. We have here a search and Siri button. For the countries where the Siri is supported, it asks for Siri. For countries where it is not supported, it just opens the search application. It's a standard TV buttons like a play pause, it's controlling volume, and of course a light and connector for charging that thing. As well, Apple remote have a gyroscope, it has accelerometer, so it can be used for controlling user inputs for games, for example. So let's compare what exactly we have between iOS and tvOS. I have provided some comparison between them for main capabilities. So for iOS and tvOS, we have app groups in both, so it means that we can combine some bunch of applications into one group. Apple Pay is supported only on iOS. For tvOS, you cannot actually use Apple Pay. As well, application on tvOS support different background modes, it supports data protection, it supports Game Center. And for game controllers, there is one interesting thing that for iOS it as well supports game controllers, but with MFI program. So it means that the producer of the exact game controller should apply for Apple for MFI program in case to support iOS. While for tvOS you can connect any game controller, for example from Xbox, as I understand, and it will be supported. For a HealthKit, it is not available on tvOS, HomeKit as well. iCloud is supported. For in-app purchases, it's supported as well on tvOS, and as I said, we can use the same product ID for it. tvOS is not supported for inter-app audio. It supported keychain, and tvOS is not supported maps, push notifications, and a wallet. So it means that mostly we have the same environment that we have in the iOS, with the small differences. In development terms, we have tvOS supported most of the frameworks. So So it will be much easier to describe the frameworks that we do not have supported in the tvOS. So we do not have in tvOS address book, we do not have event kit, we do not have external accessories, so it means that we cannot connect some third-party accessory for the tvOS. We don't have health kit, home kit, I add. But I think that most of the ad providers will provide some advertisement libraries for us for the tvOS as well. So we do not have map kit, we don't have pass kit as well. Twitter is not supported natively, and we don't have watch kit and web kit. So most of the functionality is supported in the tvOS. Okay, since we have finished with the frameworks we do not have for support, let's continue with the base UI elements of how exactly we should build the UI here, because in tvOS we have totally different UI methodology, UI interface here. So the main item here is that user cannot tap on any element on the screen. So he can only control exact focused element with using Apple Remote. To correctly support focus, to show that some element is focused, Apple have introduced some parallax effects. So while some element is in focus, it's beautifully displayed. And the focused element should be always highlighted with some animation, with some parallax animation, because in other way user will not understand what element is in focus. As well, one of the main differences between iOS and tvOS is that tvOS applications have top shelf. Top shelf is a feature for the top 5 applications in the Apple TV. And and user can control which applications can be added to the top shelf, to the top 5 applications. And top shelf is features that provide us top content when the application is selected. So for example, for Apple Store it selected some top rated applications. For photos it can show some recent photos. For iTunes it can show some top popular songs or something new. So each application should provide functionality for top shelf in case user will place it on the top application. So let's discuss more about remotes, about how user control it. So main interaction goes within the remote, and that is the main way to interact with the user. Apple Remote support different 3 main gestures. It's swipe, where when you just, it's a standard swipe, same as in iOS. It's a click, it's a one-time click, and it's a tap. And it's tap. I'm not quite sure what exactly is the difference, because we do not have right now the device itself, and we cannot check. As well, tvOS natively support game controllers. So in case our application support game controllers, then we should be sure that it as well support Apple Remote. In other way, we will just be rejected from the Apple Store. And the main purpose of the game controllers is to enhance the user game experience. Next item is about user navigation. So, the main item here is that people mostly is not aware about some complex navigation. So it should be very clear and very simple. Most navigation is used with just a simple swipe gesture. So for example, when you are swiping, it shows you with animation what exactly goes on the screen. So what is in focus and how exactly it changes the focus. And from a user point of view, we should not provide some unexpected animations here, because user will feel distracted from TV, and he will feel unconnected with what exactly is going on the screen. So animations should be displayed only when he interacts with the application. So when he swipes, when he taps, and so on and so on. Another way, we should not use animations. As well, we should not use back buttons here at all, because on Apple Remote we have menu buttons that brings user home to the previous screen. Sorry. Okay, so let me repeat again the main icon. So main way for interact with Apple TV is changing focus and select some item. So once you have selected something, you should tap on it and focus element will be activated. And again, you should be sure and how you provide this a focused element. It should be obvious for the user that some element is on focus. If he will not be aware of it, he will not be able to use your application. He obviously will just delete it. For icons, here we as well, we have some requirements from Apple. So icons should be clear. They should capture attention here. The background should be simple, it should not contain some noise, and it's better to not use application screenshots. And we should not use some text on the logo, except your brand is in text way. Otherwise, it's better to provide user with some image that can be easily understood by the user that it's your application. As well, the icons, same as NS and iOS, should be just squared. tvOS will apply round corners by itself. And one of the main items for the application icon is the layers, because layers for application icon provides a feel of depth here. Application icons can have from minimum 2 and up to 5 layers, and we should correctly support it. And please aware of some effects like shadows, like gradients, because if you will apply it to some layer, it will be incorrectly shown by the end user. So here how exactly looks a depth animation when the application is in focus. One more time. Okay, so for layered images, you should be aware that all of the sizes can be different, depends on what is the current state of the image. So in the focused state, it can be a bit smaller than actual size. When it's focused, it can be more smaller than actual size. Plus, it has some animations. So these being your designers, so they will be aware about that. For the top shelf images, at least each application should have just one static shelf image. But as well, as I noted previously, you can provide some dynamic content. So, and the main item for top shelf images is that it should not be used for some promotions. It should be used to provide directly the content by itself. So user can check your top shelf, select it, and jump directly to the content itself. So don't provide some branding, brand names, some advertisement, and so on. User just don't care about it. You just want to start play game, to read exact news, to download some application or watch the movie. For animations, as I already said, please avoid some unmotivated animation, because user is expect to see animations only as a response for his actions. So animations that does not relate to exact user interaction user will be just distracted and disconnected. So, as well about UI. For branding, please try to avoid some brand names in your application. Users just don't care about it. If you want to provide some branding then you should think about providing some unique colors. So for example, for a Space-O we can use just the black and green colors mostly inside our application. And please always remember that the content here is always over the branding. As well, one of the main items for tvOS, that is that device that is used by every people in the family, and it stays just in the living room. It means that if your application has some explicit content, you should just aware user about it, so he will have chance to drop kids from the room. And for the layout here, the TV itself have many different sizes, while tvOS always provides output as a full HD. And you should design your application in that way. And you should keep in mind that TV can have a different size, and you should as well keep in mind that you should take care about different TV sizes, not Apple TV itself. That is a difference between iOS. And as well, put the main content, try to avoid putting the main content near to edge. Please have some spanning around around edges. As well, for the UI, there is two important items. The elements, when it's in focus, is changing its appearance. Please be sure that your content is not overlapping to each other when the content is playing in different states, in focused and unfocused. As well, if you have much content on the screen and user can scroll it, it's better to show that content can be partially hidden, to show the user that there is more content and he can scroll it. And Apple also provides some layout templates, some default layout templates that can be checked as tvOS user interface guidelines. So let me just browse through the basic ones that Apple provides. So this is just a standard alert that can be used, for example, for purchases. And please remember that it should be used mostly only for some important situations. For example, it can be about deletion, about some problem, about purchasing. Another way to just show some label on the screen. It's a simple catalog with some groups. For example, it can be movies by some genre. There is a compilation template. It can be used, for example, for some audio content. There is descriptive alert template. It's for providing some content with much text. And even in that case, Apple recommend to keep the content short as possible and avoid scrolling, because on the TV you don't care about text. You want to watch some movie. And there is a form template. Please remember that entering text data on the tvOS is a pain. So please use this text input only when it's really necessary. In other ways, let the user just select content, filter content by some way, but not enter in a text way. It's just some default list template. For example, it can be used for TV shows. Here is some loading template, is similar to activity indicator in the iOS. And as well, if possible, please keep the text informative. Please use progress bar if that is possible. And keep it spinning always, so user will see that something did happen. If it will stop, then user will feel that something broke with the application and just close and delete it. It's just a main menu application. For example, it can be home for your application or some home for a movie screen. Some menu bar, pay rate templates, some product template, product bundle template, some rating template, search, stack, and that is the latest one. Okay, so the next item here is about textures. So it's just a blur effect that is helping you to provide some feeling of depth of hierarchical structure inside the application. So there is two basic styles for the blur effect. The first one is the extra light. This one is provides more blur, so as you see in the background, you almost don't see any content. And there is a light one, so you more clearly see what exactly is below below your content. So if possible, use it as well. It will enhance your application experience. And for the typography. For the typography, there is a big difference in comparison to iOS because you cannot just bring your TV near to you. And you should keep in mind that you have to use appropriate font size because it should be readable. So the TV can be just 1 or 3 meters from you, and you should be sure that the user can read your content if it's a text content. As well, Apple TV obviously provides some video player, and for the video player they have some great interaction. So user can use just a Siri, he can use Apple Remote to dynamically scroll the video. And let me play it again. And so we can just use it as is within our application. And as well, Apple will provide us all the necessary templates and resources for us. So it's application icon, it's tool for parallax effects, it's the font itself that is used on iOS 9 and tvOS, it's San Francisco font, and as well there is a lot of example Xcode projects that you can use and use for the start. And that's it. Thank you guys.